Welcome! In this episode, I'm going to cover Imperial Crafting with cooking and alchemy. I see a lot of people asking about how it works with questions like, is it trading? Does distance apply? And even statements such as Imperial cooking is too much work, or that players have to go out of their way to gather a bunch of resources, which ends up taking a long time. The short of that is that it is not trading, and distance does not apply. My intent with this video is to hopefully clear up some misconceptions, why Imperial Crafting is not difficult, and why almost everybody should include it in their daily, weekly, or monthly routines for added income. Really quickly, I want to address one of the terms I'm using, and that's crates. It would be better to consider these as boxed goods, as they are not trade crates. This topic can become confusing for newer players, or those that are just looking into the Imperial side to life skills, because there are a lot of similarly named features and functions in this game, those being trade crates, Imperial Delivery, Imperial Crafting crates, and the trading life skill. Until you become more versed in all of these topics, they will sound as if there is some crossover, but generally speaking, they have no crossover whatsoever. I am not going to be talking about those things in this video, as they are an entirely separate topic from Imperial Crafting. But to clarify, for those who are new to either one or both of these topics, and might be confused between them, a trade crate for the trading life skill consists of either processed or unprocessed materials that are then crated and sold over a long distance node connection, which increases both XP and silver or profit, and are then sold. Imperial Delivery is still different. At trade managers, the NPCs that sell trade items, certain goods have a chance at being considered Imperial, and will be indicated as such with the golden crown icon. What this means is that in a city that corresponds with each set of items, an Imperial Delivery manager will buy that item at a higher fixed price of 250% of its base value, as opposed to selling the item to another trader for a lower percent bonus, which is calculated using your trade level, the value of the item, and the distance. That might sound like a lot, and it is, and that's why I'm not going to be talking about those in this video. So to continue, Imperial cooking and alchemy crates, generally speaking, are not sustainable. Depending on your account development, they can become sustainable and produced in bulk, but at the end of the day, the system is designed in such a way that it is less sustainable for the average player to consistently produce, crate, and sell them. This is due to the fact that most Imperial boxes require ingredients that are in short or limited supply. An example of this is milk. You can only acquire milk by cooking and exchanging the strongly seasoned dish byproduct, farming haystacks, or playing the milk minigame. As a consequence, anything made with milk can't be produced in high volume, as milk is a highly limited reagent. Imperial crafting may seem complicated at first, but it really isn't. You make a product, you crate the product, and then you sell the product. To turn your ingredient into an Imperial crate, press L, click the Imperial Cuisine or Imperial Alchemy button, select the ingredient, and then click Start. Each Imperial crate is 80 weight, so they add up quickly. Your character will stop at 100% weight, so to sell your crates, you must be at 99% or below, or it will say that you are too heavy. Another important detail to note is where you create the product versus the Imperial crate. Let's say you cook in Glish due to a lower player population. It is perfectly fine to have 100,000 honey wine in Glish, but you would not want to craft the Imperial crate in Glish to sell in Calphion, as that would require you to travel between the two cities for each delivery, as Imperial crates cannot be transferred from town to town, stacked on a horse, and they're very heavy on a player. They simply cannot be moved from one place to another very easily. That being said, you always want to craft the crate in the city of the delivery manager that you intend to sell to. Once you have your crates, simply navigate to an Imperial Crafting delivery manager and sell them. Another important thing to note is that the total number of Imperial deliveries you are allowed to make is limited to half of your total contribution points. This will reset each day at the daily reset hour. Each channel cluster will receive Imperial Delivery crates. However, there is a limited amount of sales able to be made. Every 3 hours, each channel has a 50% chance to reset its list of Imperial crates that are in demand. Each manager will sell 30 crates, plus or minus 7, for a maximum of 37 and a minimum of 23. If you change channels, you'll be unable to interact with the manager for 10 minutes, at which point they will accept sales, assuming the box is not sold out already. It is a good idea to plan your deliveries according to both time of day, factoring that people are at work or school, and location, as places such as Heidel will be flooded with players, which means that more people will be making deliveries of their own, whereas cities such as Grana, Olvia, Calphion, Alta Nova, or even Valencia are significantly less populated. One way to combat the unsustainable nature of Imperial is to craft several different kinds of crates, which leads me into my next topic: which crates should you make? There are a lot of good crates, but the most sustainable and easily produced crates will also be the most sold out due to their low level of effort required to produce. The easiest things to produce being the most contested, with the more difficult craftable ones being the least contested. The best Imperial goods recommended for the average player would include fried fish, boiled bird eggs, meat stew, tea with fine scent, and honey wine. There are other recipes, but when you're capable of producing them and knowing if they're good or not, you won't need a video like this to tell you, which is why I'm not going to list them, as they become increasingly difficult for players to produce, let alone produce them in any meaningful volume. If you want to include Imperial Alchemy into your routine, know that it is more difficult than cooking. If an alchemy crate has a higher turn-in value, unless you have a low alchemy production time, it generally isn't advisable to craft that crate. This is due to the fact that it's harder to get your alchemy time down than your cooking time, as there's no pearl shop equivalent to the canapé costume. You don't want to sell a similarly priced crate if it takes twice as long to produce. That's simply a waste of time. However, with the recent release of the Cron meal, when using a +4 alchemist's outfit, with an advanced utensil as well as a sharp alchemy stone of life, you are able to achieve 1 second alchemy time. I generally wouldn't recommend Imperial Alchemy until you have at minimum a 2-second alchemy time, unless you know what you're doing, as alchemy can be quite time consuming and thus less silver efficient. To wrap things up, Imperial is a great way to supplement your weekly or monthly income. It isn't uncommon for players with empires as developed as myself or even further to make upwards of 200 mil a week or more from Imperial Crafting. It does require a high amount of contribution, but spending your energy on gathering logs and roughstone, crafting utensils, and cooking or swirling bottles of elixirs can be some of the most profitable things that you do with your both active and semi-active AFK time. I hope that you found this information useful. Let me know if you have any video requests in the comments, and thank you for watching.